It's mute. Take it off the mute. No? It's on back here. Turn.
How about this?
There you go.
Okay, good enough. Okay, Jonah. What's the first thing you think about when you talk about Jonah? The whale. That drives me crazy. The whale's got absolutely nothing to do with the whole story. You know that? Very little. I mean, a piece of driftwood would have done the same thing. Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. The whole story of Jonah is about what? Forgiveness? What? Obedience? Anybody else? One, two, you're gone. Prejudice. Prejudice. Jonah hated the Ninevites. Well, we're going to talk about that. Let me give you about 3 real quick stories of prejudice. I know none of you have that problem. Oh, wait a minute. As a matter of fact, all of you got that problem. Every one of us, to some degree, some area. 3 stories. I was in Germany, and a buddy of mine and I went to Paris on leave. Of course, what do you do in Paris? We go down the tower. Up the Eiffel Tower we go. Up there, you know, it's beautiful. It really is. But I'm afraid of heights. I can fly a plane. I have a pilot's license, but I'm afraid of heights. We'll figure that one out. I get 10 feet off the ground, all I do is hold on. I was up there holding on. I can tell you that right now. And me and my buddy were there, and there were a lot of people up there, of course. And there were some girls there. Not that I noticed, of course. There were some girls there. And we noticed one another, and all of a sudden she looked at us and she said, "Yanks." She turned around and walked up. What in the world? Well, I figured that out later on. In Canada, they call us Americans Yanks. She was prejudiced against me because I happen to be American. I don't care. It touched me to death as far as I'm concerned. Yank, we're the border, you can't even hardly stay in most places. And yet she was prejudiced against me because I was, come on. Then, when I was in Chicago one night racing horses, real late races, and it was snowing and miserable, and so I decided I'd just stay all night. So I got a room. Next morning, go down, and for some reason or other, I forgot to turn off the dome light. And of course, the battery was dead. And where I was parked was, there was a curb here, you know, nothing there, and then parked here, and then there was a car beside me. So I thought, well, we can get that car beside me and maybe jump me or, you know, back out and get some. So I went and see the manager. Manager comes out and he said, "Oh, I know whose car that is." And sure enough, he looked up and there was a black lady up there at the second floor. And so he went up there. He knew that was hers. So he went up there and talked to her. Came back down. Never said anything. He just said, "Well, let's see if we can get that. Maybe push that back." She never moved up there. She never looked. She just stayed right there and watched the whole time. So we kicked snow out behind the tires. It's cold as the dickens. And you know how that was, old pickup truck to push. So we finally struggled. We got the pickup back far enough so we could get his car up there beside it, and we get the jumper cables across. We got started in it. What was the deal? Well, that's real simple. I was white. See, prejudice comes in all colors. Not too long ago, I was going down towards Silent Springs, you know, on that road goes 5 points. Too long down through there, I don't know what time it wouldn't make any difference. And ahead of me was a motorcycle. And I could, closer I got to it, I said, well, here's this old boy. He's long haired and tattoos. He's got a leg struck out, you know, about 2 inches off the blacktop, tooling down through there. All this, you know, tattoos and all that kind of. So, of course, I immediately figured it all out, you know. I mean, he'll get a bum, and, you know, he's probably running away from something, probably high as a guy. Who knows all the things I thought about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Sure you do. Got it closer, and I thought, what's the deal here? And I looked, you know, on his back, I saw a cross. The closer I got, I found out bankers for Christ. I'd already figured it out, but I really hadn't. Prejudice. What it can do to you is amazing. That's what this story is about. Okay. Jonah 1 through 6. And the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, go at once to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. And Nineveh, that's a big city. People there were mixed races. They were just the worst place in the world you want to go. And any Jew would run away from that like the plague. So Nineveh, he hated those folks because of what they stood for. He didn't want to go there. But Jonah set out to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid his fare and went on board to go with it to Tarshish, away from the presence of the Lord. He didn't say anything to God at this time. God just said, go there. And so he takes off, goes down the shore, gets on a boat. One thing is that he was going to Tarshish. Nineveh is this direction. So he was running away. Oh, the Lord heard a great wind upon the sea, and such a mighty storm came upon the sea that the ship started to break up. Then the mariners were afraid, and each cried to his own God. They threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea, the lightning poured in. Jonah, meanwhile, had gone down into the hold of the ship, and laid down and was fast asleep. The captain came and said to him, what are you doing sound asleep? Get up and call on your God. Perhaps the God will spare us a thought, so that we do not perish. Okay, he's headed to Tarshish. Wind comes up, mariners are afraid, everything's look bad. I mean, in this sea, it comes up very quick. And of course, their theology was, not ours, but their theology was that if there was a storm there and if they were in trouble, there was a reason for it. And the reason was that somebody sinned. So they had to figure out who sinned. Then they could stop the storm. That's the theology. So Jonah comes up and they're talking about all of this, and they cast lots. And I don't know what that looks like, but anyway, that's what they did. Cast lots, and lo and behold, guess who got short end of the stick? Jonah. So he admitted, yeah, that's just me. He said, throw me overboard. Wind will stop. They said, no, we don't do that. They argued about it and all this kind of stuff. And finally, there was nothing else they could do. They just threw him overboard. Right away, the wind stopped. Everything died down. And then, here comes the feast story. The feast, big feast, well, we always say, followed up Jonah. 3 days later, spits him out on the shore, just outside of Nineveh. As I said, I would give anything if the writer of this story had just said he jumped overboard or threw him overboard and he grabbed a hold of some driftwood and the current took him 3 days later into. We spent all these years, all the time and effort, trying to figure out how Jonah could stay in a fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Doesn't have anything to do with anything, but the truth of the matter is, folks, that if God made the whole universe, he could probably pull that off, don't you think? So, big fish, head back, and sure enough, 3 days later, there he is on the shore. Unhappy. Man, no escaping now, there she is. He figured it out now. No getting back. So there, and God shows up again. God said, go into Nineveh and tell the folks that they got 40 days. And I'm going to destroy the whole works. So Jonah, I like to think of him as just kind of like a teenager. He's probably got his lip pushed out and he goes into Nineveh. A day's journey in there. And then he says, I don't know how many people he talked to, but whatever there was there before him, he gave him his speech. You got 40 days, and then God's going to destroy it. That was his sermon. 40 days, God's going to destroy the whole smear if you don't repent. That was his, he had the greatest sermon of all, but it caught hold. People were repenting around, and it just spread like wildfire. Even the king got in the business of it. he was there and he heard about it, and he even repented and wrapped himself in sackcloth and sat in ashes. And he ordered everybody in the whole city to do the same thing. Even the cattle. I don't know how the cattle could, do anything to repent. But anyway, even everything repented. God showed up again, as he often does. And he said, I changed my mind. Because I've seen what you have done. He was impressed by it. He changed his mind and said, I'm not going to do it. Now, Jonah is really ticked. In fact, I told him, I said, I just knew this was going to happen. I just knew it before we ever left the first place. I knew this was going to happen because you're a good God, you're a kind God, you're a forgiving God, and I just knew this was going to happen. That's what I done in the first place. And what does he do? Well, he jumps off out of the city, ticked off. Goes up so he can see the whole city, because you see, he's still got 40 days. And maybe God will change his mind, he can wipe out these folks after all. So he's up there and he said, he's watching the city. Hot, hot. He made a little booth. He said, I don't know what that was, but it was just a place for him to sit. Hot, just miserable. Night comes, and he's miserable, angry, upset, depressed. The Lord told God once or twice that he's ready to die. And then, during the night, lo and behold, guess what happened? Plant grew up right beside him. Give him shade. He's tickled to death. Boy, he loves that plant. But guess what happened? Worm comes along and kills the plant. Now he's really tickled. Plant's dead. Winds are hot. The sun's out. The Ninevites are still there. I mean, it's just, it don't get any worse than this. God shows up again. He said, Jonah, I'm going to read it. Oh. But God said to Jonah, did you do well to be angry for the plant? In other words, why are you angry at the plant? Jonah said, well, I do well to be angry enough to die. He wanted to die again. He done this 3 or 4 times. The Lord said, you pity the plant, for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow, which came into being in a night and perished in a night. You're angry about that? And should I not pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also there are cattle? Do you see the extreme here? Here he was worried about finding anything to do with it because it gave him shade. Didn't care about the people. All those 120,000 people, livestock, and everything else going to be destroyed. What he cared about was the way he felt. Because you see, he hated the Ninevites. See what prejudice will do to you? It goes that far. Don't think about it. I mean, I didn't think about it when I pulled up behind that motorcycle guy. I didn't think about him. I'd already made up my mind. It's like that black lady, she already made up her mind. She wanted to help, give her a chance to stick it to somebody. The girl from Canada already made up her mind. She didn't like Americans. Didn't know me. I wouldn't do that to God. Already made up her mind. The next time you have that feeling, we all know we'll see somebody or we'll see something. I mean, all of us have our particular prejudices, and I do too. You know one of the prejudices I've noticed lately? Prejudice between people who wear the mask and people who don't wear the mask. You notice that? So you can be prejudiced about anything. Just be careful how far it goes. Because it can really destroy you if you let it. Amen. By the way, get a chance, read that book. It's only 2 pages long. Read it. I know I took some liberties here and there with it, but